The man lowers his badge, eyes locking onto the security team. "Now do you get it?" he asks, his voice steady but unmistakably firm. But even as the realization dawns on them, they hesitate, because now they know they've made a mistake. And worse, the whole world is watching. The weight of their mistake is sinking in, but before security can react, a new voice cuts through the tension. "What's going on here?" A senior stadium official strides onto the field, his suit crisp, his expression unreadable. He glances at the man, then at security, before his gaze lands on the badge in his hand. His face tightens. One of the security guards clears his throat. "We were just handling a situation, sir." He was on the field without clearance. The official's jaw clenches. Without clearance. His voice is dangerously low. He turns back to the man and nods respectfully. "I apologize for the misunderstanding, sir." The shift is immediate. Security's posture stiffens, confusion flickering across their faces. But just as it seems like the situation might de-escalate, another figure appears, a rival team's owner, standing on the sideline, watching everything unfold with an amused smirk. He steps forward, shaking his head. "Quite the scene," he says casually. "And here I was thinking ownership came with a little more recognition." The words drip with something more than sarcasm. Challenge. The man meets his gaze, reading between the lines. This isn't just about security's mistake anymore. It's about power, respect. The rival owner's presence isn't an accident. He's here to turn this moment into something bigger, something public. Meanwhile, the cameras are still rolling. The crowd is restless. The story is no longer just about security treating the owner like an outsider. Now, it's about whether he truly belongs in the world of team ownership, a world that wasn't built for him. And as the tension mounts, one thing is clear: this isn't over, not even close. The moment stretches, thick with unspoken tension. The man looks at the rival owner, his expression unreadable. He could let this slide, brush it off as another moment of disrespect, another test of whether he truly belongs. But no, this time he won't. He steps forward, eyes locked on the rival owner. "You're right," he says, voice steady. "Recognition should come with ownership." Then he turns to security. "So let's make sure no one forgets again." He reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out something new, an official lead document, stamped and signed. The rival owner's smirk falters as he recognizes it immediately. The crowd murmurs, confused. Then the announcement booms over the stadium speakers. A new deal has just been finalized. The man they tried to remove isn't just the owner of this team. He's now a majority stakeholder in the league itself. A stunned silence sweeps over the field. Security steps back, looking shaken. The rival owner exhales sharply, his composure slipping for just a second. "Didn't see that coming, did you?" the man says, tucking the document away. The crowd erupts, half cheering, half in shock. Social media explodes. Cameras flash. But as the noise swells around him, the man simply turns and walks toward the sideline, leaving security, the rival owner, and an entire stadium with no doubt he belongs, and now they all answer to him. As he reaches the sideline, players and staff greet him with nods of respect, some shaking his hand, others still processing what just happened. The rival owner lingers for a moment before turning away, his silence louder than any words. Security, now realizing the gravity of their mistake, stands frozen, unsure whether to apologize or disappear. Up in the stands, the fans are buzzing. Some are still on their phones, replaying the moment, while others cheer, appreciating the poetic justice of it all. The league's new power shift is already making headlines, and by tomorrow, this story will be everywhere. But the man doesn't need to celebrate. He already knew his worth before anyone else did. He simply takes one last look at the field, nods to himself, and walks off. Because now it's not just about proving he belongs. It's about making sure no one ever questions it again. Highly decorated, elite forces, mission classified. The biker holding the phone swallowed hard. "You're supposed to be gone," he whispered. The old man smiled faintly. That's what they wanted you to think. The bikers stared at the screen, their expressions shifting from shock to something else. Fear. The old man let the silence linger, watching as they processed the truth. The grizzled biker, who had remained the most composed, finally nodded slowly, a sign of quiet respect. "I've heard of you," he admitted, "but I thought you were just a myth." The old man chuckled. A lot of people did. He finished his drink and set the empty glass down with a quiet clink. "Now, I'll ask you one more time. Do we have a problem here?" The group exchanged uneasy glances. Whatever bravado they had walked in with was gone. The young biker, still clutching his phone, quickly shook his head. "No, sir, no problem at all." The old man gave a knowing smile and stood up, adjusting his coat. Just as he turned to leave, the bartender called out, "You really just came in for a drink, didn't you?" The old man paused at the door, looking back over his shoulder. "That's all I ever wanted." Then, with a final glance at the bikers, who now looked more like nervous schoolboys, he stepped out into the night. The moment he was gone, the grizzled biker let out a long breath. "We almost made the worst mistake of our lives." The younger one, still pale, nodded. "I think we just met a ghost." The bar remained silent long after the old man had left. The bikers, once full of swagger, now sat in quiet disbelief. The weight of what had just happened settled over them like a heavy fog. The grizzled biker finally pushed back his chair and stood, rubbing a hand over his face. "We need to be careful who we mess with," he muttered. "Some people aren't just stories." The young biker, still gripping his phone, nodded slowly. "I don't think he came here to fight," he said. "He just wanted a drink." The bartender let out a small chuckle, shaking his head. "And a reminder," he added, "that respect isn't just about who looks tough." Outside, the old man walked down the quiet street, hands in his pockets. He had been through enough battles to know that the strongest man in the room is often the one who doesn't need to prove it.